How's it going, guys? Andrew here with Justified EDC, and today I've got another fun video for you here. I'm kind of working on a couple things behind the scenes, both on this channel in terms of getting some new ad reads in and working on reviews, and then I got my side business to worry about, and then day job and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and I'm not really ready to do any like very informative videos right now, but I wanted to keep the content coming for you guys. So we're gonna do another fun one today. So the other day we did kind of some unique pieces from my collection. And I got a comment saying that they'd like to see a full fixed blade collection. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a while, but with stuff always coming in for review, and I often send things out to get modded or to get sheath work done on or something like that, it always feels like I'm waiting on something. But right now I'm not waiting on any fixed blades to come back to me or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and do the fixed blade collection. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, these aren't reviews of any of these knives. A lot of these, and I'll try to remember to mention which ones that I have reviews on as they come up. But these are not reviews. These are just going to be general overviews of the knife, if I have any fun stories about it, or just things I like about it, or anything like that. I'm also not going to bother to try to link every maker, most likely. I might. Check the description. If I felt generous, I might try to link all of these makers, or at least some of the most prominent ones. But I'm not doing timestamps or anything like that. This is just going to be a fun, chill video. Just skip through if you don't want to watch it or anything like that. No pressure. But as always, we got to thank the sponsor of the channel, Auxiliary Manufacturing. Unfortunately, the tag that I usually use to advertise this business is underneath my mat, which is covered in knives right now. But Mike, thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. He makes awesome custom USA-made fixed blades, which some of them we will be going over here shortly. I can see one of them right here, and some of the other ones are buried underneath. So if you're interested in custom USA-made fixed blades, definitely go check him out. There will be links to his website and Instagram in the description. I do have a discount code with him, Justified10. That'll get you 10% off your order with him. So thank you, Mike, as always, for sponsoring the channel, and we will get right into this. So I'm just going to kind of pick up knives, and we're going to talk about them one at a time, and that's how we're doing this. So I've got a couple off to the side here that don't have sheaths that I'm going to talk about first, just so I can get them out of the way for safety reasons. The first one here is this, which we actually talked about in the last video. But for anyone that didn't watch this, this is a broken back sax made by LKC Knives. I can't really find any information about them. They had a eBay and Etsy store up for a while. And I know they are hand forged, and I know they are made in the USA, but beyond that, I do not know any details about them because it seems that their store has shut down since. But this is more of just a display piece. This sits right up here by my desk, just as a display piece. I've always been fascinated with sax knives and swords and stuff like that. I think they're a great historic piece. So this one made me happy when I saw it, so I bought it, and it's on display. I don't ever really carry it or use it or anything like that. But it's just a really gorgeous piece that I think looks nice and old school. So I'm going to put this back up on its stand here before I forget to do that later. And let's see, next thing. This is a little bit something different than I normally show, but I should actually do a review on this because this is a fantastic knife. This is a paring knife for the kitchen made by North Arm knives. So if you're familiar with North Arm, they're probably most well known for their Skaha model. I had one of those a while back. I think I showed it off on the channel a little bit. But they're known for their Skaha folder, but they also make very excellent kitchen knives. This happens to be one that I got for my wife I can't remember if it was for her birthday or for our anniversary or something like that. But this is a really, really, really nice paring knife. It's one of the CNC ground blades. This one happens to be in Magna Cut. Really cool logo there. You can see these are made up in Canada. Just an absolutely gorgeous blade. Love these red G10 handles. The pinch points on here are excellent. This is just a pleasure to use in the kitchen. I kind of just use this as the general utility knife in the kitchen. Have not had to sharpen it at all, and I believe that we've had this for about a year now. We've never had any staining problems, even leaving it wet for a long time or dirty. Magna Cut is an excellent steel, so really enjoy this knife. Get that out of here. The last thing, and this one does normally have a sheath, but I just don't have its sheath right now. This is the BW Knives Erebus. And the reason I don't have the sheath for this is because I actually repurposed it for another knife that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But this is made by BW Knives. This is a custom USA-made fixed blade. Again, you can kind of see I kind of like that, like broken back Sachs or Warncliffe or whatever you want to call it kind of look, reverse Tonto if you want to be stupid. But Terra-Tough handles, Nitro V steel, excellent ergonomics. I've loved carrying and using this knife. It's just a beauty. I really like this knife, and this is one, I think this is the second knife I ever got from Brad from BW. So really excellent knife. You should definitely go check out his work. Next thing, let's see. We're gonna start grabbing knives, and this happens to be another BW. This is actually the BW Knives Erebus Short. So in comparison to the Erebus, you can see it's just kind of a shrunken down version of that knife. A little bit less in the handle. Now the jute wrap does add some thickness, but shorter blade. Again, this is really awesome, using all different kinds of grips. This is basically, if you kind of hold it like that, kind of looks like a utility knife. And this very much works like a utility knife. You can use it for defensive use, all that good stuff. This one's got a defensive industries sheath and this really cool plaid that I dig. Love the jute wrap handle, love the blade shape. Awesome, awesome knife. This one's also in Nitro V. Next thing here. This is actually what I was carrying today. I pulled it out of the pocket to do this. This is the updated Varger from Offensive Industries. We'll actually talk about the old Varger here in a little bit. But this is the new Varger, a little bit updated handle shape and blade shape. This happens to be a 3-inch. He does these in, I think, 2-inch all the way up to 5-inch. You can get different blade sizes. But this is kind of the handle that we're working with nowadays. This one happens to be in Terra-Tough. I added this cross-hatching just because until this sheath breaks in a lot more, the retention was a little bit stiff, so it's easier for me to grab that out of the pocket with that cross-hatching on there. But really awesome pattern sheath. Josh over at Offensive Industries kills it with his sheaths. You're going to see a lot more of these here. And I'll try to remember to mention them as they come up. But yeah, this is the Varger from Offensive Industries, Nitro V. Super solid knife. Start organizing myself here because we're going to need a lot of space. All right, this is actually my wife's knife, but I grabbed it just because I felt like I had to throw it in here with the fixed blade collection, and I do use it sometimes because it kind of sits on her spot in the living room, and she often grabs it to open mail and all that kind of stuff. So this is the Knives by Nuge Wicket. This one happens to be one of his jute wrap models, so it's nice and thin. Super thin blade. This one has the fun Hawaiian Cerakote on it and the same super fun Hawaiian pattern sheath from Offensive Industries. This is just a super small little knife. Super fun. He actually sent this along specifically for my wife, so thank you again for sending this along. She really enjoys it. The pattern is super cool. And along those lines, another Knives by Nuge. This is another Wicket, and this happens to be mine. This is just a one in the G10 scales. Same blade shape, same sheath, just blacked out sheath here, green G10 bolt-on scales instead of the jute wrap, but same thing. This one happens to be a Nitro V. He makes these in Magna Cut as well. Just an excellent tiny little backup folder, or not folder, fixed blade. What am I talking about? This is the fixed blade video. All right, next thing. We had just talked about the Varger, so we'll talk about the old Varger. This is one of the original Vargers. I've had this one for a while, so you can kind of see the differences that have some of the updates that have been made. This used to just be a very neutral kind of stick handle with a little bit of a flare at the pommel, a little bit thinner of a blade. Again, I think this is also a 3-inch. Actually, this might be a 2.5-inch. Yeah, I think this is the 2.5-inch one. So this is a 2.5-inch of the old model. Again, same style sheath. This one happens to be in the topographic black and coyote. But this is an updated version. This used to have rubber scales on it, and I just recently sent this back to Josh to get it rescaled. So now it is in this kind of reddish pink Terra-Tough. Super, super cool. Love this knife. This one's never going to leave the collection just because he doesn't really make this model anymore, and it was one of the first ones out there, so super happy to have it. Really still do enjoy still carrying this knife, even though I have the updated version now. Let's see, let's go next here. This is a cool little one. Again, this is something we talked about in the last video, but this is the Sosby, and I'm going to call it the Runt because I have not gotten any confirmation. Again, this is a super rare little Sosby. He does not really make these anymore. There's not a whole lot of them out there. You can use it in a push dagger grip. You can use it in your tiny little utility grip. It's got this cute little offensive industry sheath that I had Josh make for me. This is a nice little tuck away, forget about it kind of knife. But I believe this is an ABL, G10 handles, Kydex sheath, just a really cool little knife. I'm kind of fascinated with tiny little blades, and this one's really cool, so I enjoy it quite a bit. Let's see. You know what? We were just talking about auxiliary manufacturing for the sponsor. Here's one of his knives. This is probably his most popular model at the moment. This is the Pocket Bowie. I can get these at a bunch of different handle scales, or you can get them in wrapped, but this one just happens to be the blacked out G10 scales. This is also in ABL, nice exaggerated clip point there, neutral handle. I happen to have the upgraded offensive industry sheath. These do just normally come with a standard just fold over Kydex sheath. But again, you know, auxiliary manufacturing knows how to kill it with the designs. All of his designs are very much him. They all stand out. They all have just a flair to them that's really attractive. So that is the Pocket Bowie. I believe he's coming out with some prototypes soon of some slightly different blade shapes, and he's doing a bigger one, which I'm super excited about because this handle is like just barely big enough for me, and I'm really looking forward to that upgraded, or upgraded in my mind, but just upsized version of the Pocket Bowie. So that is the Pocket Bowie by Auxiliary Manufacturing. Let's get the other auxiliary manufacturing blade. I actually think there's another one in here too as well. This is his Sumi model. This is the first one I ever got from him. Originally, even before he sponsored the channel, he had sent some knives over for me to check out and do an overview of on. Oh, you know what? I've been completely forgetting to say which one of these I've done reviews on. Just go look at the channel. I have a whole playlist of specifically knife reviews. I also have a specific playlist for pocket fixed blades. So if you're looking at stuff like this and saying, wow, that's a really cool carry idea, go check out the pocket fixed blades playlist here on the channel. That'll take you to all of the reviews all in one place. But actually, before Auxiliary Manufacturing sponsored the channel, he had sent some knives over that I don't have anymore, but he had sent me this one to keep. Which I thought was super cool. I got Josh to make me a pocket sheath for it. Just a tiny little hawkbill reverse edge kind of ripper. Do little utility cuts with it. Just a nice little package. I very much enjoy this little knife. Let's see. Next thing. This is another BW knives. This is the Tepes. Very coffin nail styled. I mean, obviously Tepes is a Dracula reference, so coffin nail makes a lot of sense. You have this very subtle clip point blade, neutral handle, very similar to what we saw on the Erebus short. Japanese style wrap, Nitro V steel. Got some jimping up here. I really enjoyed carrying and using this knife. This one does have a review on it. I know that for sure. Offensive industry sheath. If you're catching my my patterns here, this is my favorite way to carry, is pocket carry with offensive industry sheath. So these are awesome. Tepes is another great model from BW. And speaking of BW, we got to talk about Crossroad Custom. So Crossroad Custom is the son of BW Knives, Caleb. He has been kind enough to send some knives over for me to review as well. This is his Orlock model, and man, is this thing a beast. It's only 1/8 inch Nitro V steel. You got these TerraTough handles on here that are nicely textured. They're not super thick, but man, I beat the hell out of this knife doing some bushcraft stuff, and it kept on kicking. This is a great knife if you got big hands, or if you're wearing gloves while you're using it. You got plenty to hold on to. You can choke back or up, depending on what grips you need to use. Just an awesome, like, what I'd say is a nice happy medium between an EDC fixed blade and an outdoors blade. And because it has this deep carry offensive industry sheath in here, you don't want to take up room on your belt, or you kind of, you know, you're going out and you're doing some bushcraft stuff, but you don't want to be so overt about it. You can still put this in your pocket, but have a very capable outdoors knife. I really enjoy this one. So this is the Orlock from Crossroad Custom. And just because I see it right up here as well, this is another Crossroad Custom, and I can't remember the name of it now that I pull it out of the sheath. The Wesker, I believe it is. Again, very neutral handle, Japanese style wrap, reverse edge styling on here, just a very subtle drop down to that straight Wharncliffe edge. Really nice knife. Nitro V as well, deep carry, Offensive Industries pocket sheath. And I actually, I'll pull out this next knife to talk about it. This sheath actually also works with this knife, which is made by Heavyset Slim over on Instagram. Justin, great guy. These should be coming into production soon, hopefully. I'm going to go bug him about that on Instagram after this. But this is a really unique knife, and the reason I kept the sheath out here is because just by mere coincidence, this actually fits really well in this sheath. So when I want to carry this, I often take it out of the stock sheath and put it in the sheath for the Wesker. So just for the sake of the video, let me put the Wesker back. And I'll talk about the stock sheath here. So just basic fold-over Kydex sheath. I believe when these come out, he wants to get Offensive Industries to do the sheaths for them. But this is a really unique one. You got this kind of jute-wrapped handle that's layered with epoxy, and then he actually rounds all of it and contours it nicely. So it's got all those hourglass contours. It's extremely grippy, but it's also extremely comfortable. Very neutral, but also has enough contouring and stuff to keep it in your hand. It's really interesting. You kind of have this flat bayonet grind on the one side, then you got the Scandi grind on the other side. The grinds are going to be flipped, or I guess reversed on the final versions, just because this is more of like a left-hand grind, but we're going to switch this to the right hand so that it actually pulls to the right for most people are right-handed. But yep, I don't even think this has a name yet, but really cool knife. I really enjoy this one. Let's see. Here's a classic. This is the Buck 119. And this is not the stock sheath. This is a aftermarket leather sheath, and I cannot even remember who made this. It was the collaboration that Zach in the Wild, the old Blade HQ guy that ended up starting his own channel and then stopped doing YouTube, even though he was doing really well. Don't know really what happened with that, but he did a collaboration with, I think it was Nick's Boots, where they're a very high quality leather boot maker. They did these sheaths for the 119. I still had the old like nylon style with the plastic insert, so I was like, it would be nice to have an upgraded leather sheath and have the dangler. So I picked one of these up. But yeah, this is the Buck 119. This has been one of my hunting knives I've had this for a really long time. This has skinned lots of deer. It's a little big for most whitetail, works for bear really well, but it was one of those things that I got as a kid. I also have I think this might be at might actually be at my parents' house somewhere, but I have the smaller version of this. I forget what the model is, and my dad and my grandfather all had these buck skinning knives, so when I was old enough to start hunting, I was probably 12 or 13, I got this. And it's a little big, but it gets the job done. It's definitely been used. It works really well. This is a classic Americana right here. So really enjoy this. I still do carry it if I'm going out hunting. Now that it has the dangler and everything, it's much more comfortable and looks a lot better too. So that's the Buck 119. Let's get this out of the way here too. This is the Green River Works Dexter Russell. This is a very classic American frontiersman style of knife that is still being made today in the USA. A very budget knife. I think these are made, I want to say these are 1095 or 1075 or something like that. It's just a very basic carbon steel, very basic textured wood pinned handles. I added some jimping on here just to orient the blade in your hand, but I just love this wide-bellied clip point blade. It's also so thin too. A lot of modern outdoors knives and stuff just are super overbuilt to an unnecessary level. But our ancestors were using these kind of thin stocked knives and doing all kinds of work with them, from bushcraft to skinning to self-defense to this is kind of a do-all American classic. So I really like this knife. I just have this aftermarket cheap leather sheath with a dangler. I need to get a better sheath made for this at some point, but I really enjoy this knife. I've taken it out camping and stuff a couple times, and it's done really well. Actually, this works really well as a camp cooking knife because it's so thin and it came with such a nice edge. This slices super well in the kitchen. All right, let's see. Next thing, here's another auxiliary manufacturing. I don't even know if I've showed this on the channel other than when I did the unboxing video of it. I don't think this even has a name. It's just a very tiny little, I think he probably made this out of a scrap. It's insanely thick stock for how small it is. My guess is this is scrap from the pocket bowies. because it's the same stock thickness, but just a really cool little knife. Actually doesn't come down to that thick of an edge just because he put this really steep flat grind on there. I really like the white and orange content. What's the word I'm looking for? Am I stupid? Yeah, I'm stupid. I don't even remember the contrasting. I'm fucking retarded. I'm sorry, guys. Kind of white and orange contrasting colors on there. I think it looks really cool. Just basic sheath. I don't carry this a whole lot, but it was a cool thing that Mike sent over to me, so it'll stay in the collection, and I enjoy how it looks a lot. I kind of want to get a different sheath made for it, just with maybe a little bit less retention so I can neck carry it, because it is nice and small. Let's see. Next thing. We're already at 20 minutes, and we got a lot of knives to go through here, so we're going to start speed running some of these. This is the Offensive Industries Fenrir M. This is part of the Fenrir family. I'll kind of pull these out here so we can talk about these in a row here. Actually, you know what? We'll start with the original. Original Offensive Industries Fenrir, Nitro V, jute wrap, their standard sheath. This is in 3/32. Got the cool purple tiger stripe in the back. Just a really nice thin backup knife. I'll often throw this in my boot if I'm wearing boots, just because it's so thin. It's easy to carry. You forget it's there. And you got the Fenrir M, which is the same blade length, but just a larger handle. Again, 3/32 inch Nitro V blade stock, jute wrap. This one's got the gray and the gum sole on the back. The L is going to have the same exact sheath. So that's just a slightly larger version of the Fenrir. And then the Fenrir L, I'm starting to lose space up here on my tool chest. I think I'm going to start dumping things by accident here. This is the Fenrir L. Again, this is just the same design, but now a longer blade with the full-size handle. This is Nitro V, but is also in 1/8 inch blade stock now, so a little bit beefier. But again, same sheath, gray with the gum sole. So that's kind of the whole Fenrir family. I really, really like his Fenrir line. They're some of my most carried fixed blades, I'd have to say. If you remember all the way back to the beginning with this Erebus here, this is the sheath that it actually came with originally, this kind of gray with the Hawaiian pattern. But this is actually my design. This is my first knife design. It's made by Auxiliary Manufacturing. As you can see on the blade there, it is still a prototype. We're still doing some work with it. I'm testing it and evaluating it and seeing if I want to make any tweaks, and then we'll kind of go from there. But as of right now, this isn't the final iteration of the materials, but we just have flat, I should say untextured, contoured micarta, canvas micarta, and then this is in 1095. I think I'd like the eventual models to be in Nitro V. And maybe texture the handles up a little bit, or maybe just beef them up a little bit. But there'll be a little bit of design changes, but this is my design here, made by Auxiliary Manufacturing. And because I needed to carry it and test it, and it just came with like Auxiliary Manufacturing standard fold-over Kydex sheaths. Well, there's nothing wrong with them, but since I pretty much exclusively pocket carry fixed blades, I was like, I need to repurpose an Offensive Industries sheath so I can start carrying this to test. So that's what that is. You'll definitely see more of that on the channel here soon. This is another prototype, and I'm not doing a full review on this. I'm actually just doing some testing and evaluation for Crossroad Custom. This is his knife. This is an unreleased design. Just kind of a like dog bone style handle. It's got the split materials where you got the two different colors of canvas micarta. You got a piece of it almost looks like burlap, but it might just be a cross-cut section of brown micarta in there. You got the micarta pins, and then it's reversed colors on the other side. I love that dual material handle. I think it looks so cool. It's nice and grippy too. He left these nice and grippy. And then this big belly drop point. It's just a really, really nice utilitarian shape. I really dig this knife. Nitro V, again, 1/8 inch blade stock, and of course it has an Offensive Industries sheath, so you may or may not see more of these from Crossroad Custom at some point, but again, not a review, and I don't even know if I'm going to do a review on this. I was just kind of carrying it and testing it to give him some feedback before he went ahead and made it a regular model. So Caleb, sorry if I wasn't supposed to show that on camera. You didn't explicitly tell me not to, so if you want me to and you watch this video, let me know and I'll edit it out. Next one here, this is another Knives by Nuge. This is the Wicket XL. So actually the Wickets here might be buried. Oh no, here we go. We still got the Wicket here. So you can see the size difference between, so this is the original Wicket and this is the Wicket XL. So exact same design. and everything like that. Slightly thicker blade stock, but this is also a Nitro V. And this one has these textured micarta handles, bolt-on scales. This one gives you much more of a full grip than the other ones. This is a really great utility knife or like backup outdoors knife or something like that. I don't have the offensive industry sheath for this yet. I'd really like to get one, but right now it just has the standard Knives by Nuge fold-over Kydex sheath, which the retention is excellent on. This works just fine if you're going to belt carry it. I just don't belt carry knives a whole lot, but this is that's the Knives by Nuge Wicket XL. Super solid knife. All right, we're getting down to the final couple here. This one is made by Corey Bowman, Bowman Knives. And I added this little piece of grip tape back here. But this is just a full tang. I don't even remember what this is made. I think this is either 01 or... I want to say this is 01. But just kind of a very reminiscent of like a bird and trout knife. Just nice thin stock, little thin slicey blade. It's got some leather wrap up here for a little bit of texture. And then he does these really awesome leather sheaths. The retention on this is insane. And all of his leather work is really nice. I threw a ball chain on here to be able to neck carry it. It came with a leather cord. I just don't really like the feeling of leather cord on my neck. So, you know, I wear a ball chain pretty much every day with some other stuff on it. So I was already used to the feeling of carrying it like that. But it's kind of one of the traditional neck knife styles where it actually carries straight up and down. So you don't have to worry about it coming out. But even if you did, the retention on this is super solid. So yeah, this is made by Bowman Knives. You should definitely go check him out. Friend of the channel, has sent other stuff over. He's actually helping out our 3D printing channel right now. He sent some leather over for us to prototype something. So big thank you to him for that. This is a silly one. Or, you know, it's a useful knife, but it's kind of silly. This is the Cold Steel GI Tonto that I modded a long time. I've had this knife for a really long time. As you can see, it's been beat up and abused quite a bit. This did have a dual guard, but I ground off the guard here. It's obviously made of some kind of carbon steel because it's rusting where I ground that off. But now you're able to actually fully choke up on it. You're able to put your thumb up here and stuff like that. But just, this used to pretty much always ride in my vehicle. Not for any kind of self-defense or anything like that, but just as basically a large sharpened pry bar that I could beat the shit out of if I needed to. And that's what it did a couple of times. It's been used to clear some tree limbs off of roads and stuff like that, dig around in places I don't want to dig around with my normal knives. It's done some bushcraft stuff, even though it is kind of a Tonto. You know, you kind of just ignore that tip and you can still hack and whack with that. So, really cool, beefy beating knife is really all that is. I don't really do a whole lot with it these days. If we go on a road trip or something, I'll sometimes throw it in the car, just, you know, big sharpened pry bar. That's really all it's good for. Going to what is now my vehicle knife, kind of replaced the GI Tonto, is this Demco Armiger 4. It's a little bit smaller, but I think it's a little bit more practical. It's still just as tough. You have really thick, or it's not super thick. It's a little bit thicker than 1/8 inch, but of 80 CRV2. So very tough, very comfortable handle. This is also great for, not only is it great that I can just beat on this knife and stuff like that in an emergency, but it's also still small enough and has a discrete carry concepts clip here that I added that, you know, if I forget my knife, this is easy enough for me to tuck in my waistband. Or, you know, if I have to go somewhere where I'm just carrying a folder that day and for whatever reason I have to take my gun off to go somewhere, I can easily slip this inside the waistband and still have a pretty decent self-defense knife. This is a little more practical than the GI Tonto. So this is what rides in my vehicle most times as kind of a just-in-case emergency knife. But really like that. I have a review of that on the channel. It's like 75 bucks. You really can't go wrong. All right, last couple of things here. These are all special, but for very different reasons. This is the SE Azula 2. And this was my grandfather's knife. He was really big into hunting and bushcraft and everything like that. And you know what? You know, at the end of this video, I'm going to have to pull this out because I just remembered I forgot to include a fixed blade. I have a Becker BK2 that was also my grandfather's. And that was like his iconic knife. He carried that everywhere. Well, not like on him, but he had it in a bug out bag that he kept in his trunk. Anytime we were in the woods hunting or camping or anything like that, he had it on him. He had it all kitted out. I'll have to find it here at the end of the video and show it to you. But this is my grandfather's knife. This is kind of his backup knife. He did the cord wrap on here, same on the handle. He always liked having extra paracord around. He had this neck lanyard on it. So I have not really changed this at all. He passed away a couple years ago, and so I've just kind of kept it how it is. And I've been wanting to use it more, but I just can't bring myself to. I probably will get over that at some point and carry it. But yeah, this was my grandfather's knife. He often wore this just around. He carried a neck knife very often, so he didn't use this a whole lot, as you can see. But this was just kind of his backup knife that he always carried on his neck. So he always had a Leatherman. He always had that Becker BK2, but this was his neck knife that he carried around quite a bit. So very happy to have this, to have inherited this, and I will always have it with me. So, all right, last two knives, also very special. This is a CMFTW, or Matt Freeman. Again, we talked about this in the last video. Matt Freeman was a legendary knife maker that sadly passed away several years ago. But, you know, was known for his big, aggressive American-style tantos, was known for doing chisel grinds. Just a really awesome dude, and I was lucky enough to get him to make me this before he passed. This is in black micarta and L-Max with a chisel grind. And then his signature CM style carry outside the waistband, kind of canted here to the right, so you can kind of pull it right out into reverse grip edge out. That was his preferred way to carry, because in California, he lived out in California, and you can't conceal fixed blades out there. So this was a way that it was always visible, but it was also very quick and easy to access. So very lucky to have this. Miss Matt a lot, but this is a good reminder of him. And the last one here is special just because it's so new and no one else really has these. So this is a Soesby Blades Cub, but the 5-inch version. And I know nobody has this exact makeup here at all except for me. He doesn't really usually do micarta. But he had some micarta left over. We were actually I was supposed to get like his standard 3-inch model cub with the micarta, and then there was a mix-up and all this, so he made me a 5-inch, which he's just starting to produce these. I think I've only seen one other one in the wild, and it has black G10 and Kydex. This actually did come with just a brown, Kydex sheath fold-over style, but I sent it off to Josh at Offensive Industries to get this ambidextrous leather sheath made, and I think this combination between the brown micarta and the leather is just absolutely gorgeous. So I know no one else has one of these Offensive Industries sheaths for them. I am 99.9% certain no one else has one of these in micarta, and I think there's only one or two of the 5-inch out there in the wild. So very lucky to have this. I jumped on it as soon as Soesby had posted it. This is becoming one of my favorite knives very quickly. I carried it on a shoulder rig for a while, and then I got this leather sheath by Offensive Industries made for it. So absolutely gorgeous piece, and really like that. So I'm going to put a lot of these back here on camera for two reasons. One, just to give you guys something to look at, and two, because I need to clear off my tool chest here and find that Becker BK2 to show you, because it would kind of be doing a little bit of an injustice to not show that knife off. Because one, the Becker BK2 is just kind of a legendary design in the bushcraft world. Ethan Becker is a legend. The Becker BK2 is like one of the most popular models ever. And just because it was my grandfather's knife, I have an appreciation for it, and I really like it. It's very thick and overbuilt. It's not exactly how I would design an outdoors knife, but it really did the job well. You know what? As I'm looking through here, I'm not sure I even have it inside. You know what? I know where it is. I had left it in my car from a previous camping trip. So if you guys are interested, I'll post a short all about that BK2. I'm sorry I couldn't include it in this video, but I do want to show it off. So I'll make a short after I post this video just highlighting the BK2 if you guys want to see that. So that is everything that I can remember. I think that is all of my fixed blades. I went around to my cars and my chest rigs and my pants and different places I stash knives, and I think this is all of them. So for you guys that have been asking for a full fixed blade collection video, here you go. As of right now, this is everything. I'm sure I'll get more stuff. Makers, if you sent any of this stuff to me for review, I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. It has supported the channel more than you guys know. Very thankful to everyone who's done that. So if you guys have any questions about any of these, please feel free to leave them below. Like I said, I'm probably not going to link to anything just because there's so much, and a lot of these already have dedicated reviews where I've linked to everything that I possibly can. But I will link down to Auxiliary Manufacturing. Again, thank you to him for sponsoring the channel. Go check out his stuff. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. And make sure to look out for that reel or that short where I talk about the Becker. All right, bye.